We have with us Sri Chidanand Giriji, President Self-Realization Fellowship and President Yogda Satsang Society of India. A movement started by Paramhans Yoganand more than 100 years ago to spread the knowledge of Vedic wisdom, Kriya Yoga, world peace and brotherhood. Swamiji, Namaskar. Welcome to Doordarshan.
It's a joy to be here and to have this opportunity to share the love and wisdom of India's ancient spiritual heritage with all of your viewers.
Swamiji, you have just arrived in India on your latest visit. Having traveled here several times, what are your impressions about India?
My impressions about India? Yes. Well, I would say twofold. One long-range view and one more immediate. But the overriding or fundamental perception and feeling and understanding of India for me is what India represents as the steward of this most ancient, most pure expression of highest spirituality that comes down to us from the Vedic times, from the rishis, and that throughout the centuries, throughout the millennia, has found renewed rootings and branchings and sproutings in the soil of India and throughout the world. To me, that body of ancient wisdom and knowledge is unsurpassed, crowning achievement of the entire human race. On a more superficial level, it's also very important to see that during the times that we find ourselves in now, we find that just coming into an era of increased material and technological progress. The challenge is that, and this is what I see when I come to India now, is how India will weave those two strands of material progress with that eternal pure stream flowing from ancient Vedic Himalayan sources. It's not an easy accomplishment, but I know it will happen because India is destined to take her place on the world stage as an example of both eventually material harmony and well-being and progress combined with spirituality, universal spirituality, not divisive spirituality, which has not even the word spirituality. That's external religion which divides people. Spirituality unites people. India will become a beacon of that for our world family.
Swamiji, you were born in America, far away from the land of Srimad Bhagavad Gita and yoga. How were you drawn towards this path?
Well, the only way I can answer that is by saying, you know, the soul goes through many lifetimes of evolution. And yes, my body was born in the United States this time, but I've been of India many times. And our Guru Dev Paramahansa Yogananda, when he incarnated with the mission pre-planned for many generations of carrying the essence of this liberating science, liberating soul science that comes from Mother India, when the time had come for that to begin to spread to other nations around the world, and he knew that his mission would be to the U.S., then I believe naturally some who were magnetically drawn to him and were his followers and chelas came along with him and were there in the West to help with his work. So on a superficial or outward level, yes, I was born there in the U.S. As a young student in university, I came across Autobiography of a Yogi. It right away awakened my connection.
In your inner consciousness.
Inner consciousness. And then I was committed.
Swamiji, in today's world, like technology, advanced innovations, ideas, prosperity, wealth, everything is there. In that time, like people, they do think, like a common man think, like what is the use of spirituality and meditation at this time? So what is your advice to such people?
Well, my advice is that it's not optional. It's a survival skill. a survival skill, just as much as food for the body and medicine and healthcare for the body, and basic education for the development of the mental faculties and so on. Spirituality is the only guarantee of living a balanced and happy life, and all the more so the more the world becomes complex and the more these powerful technological forces are pulling at so many different openings, so many different avenues of our consciousness. It seems that, say with the internet and social media, all of the entertainment and constant barrage of really, I really call it a toxic material environment. And spirituality is this set of skills by which we preserve our balance, preserve our equanimity, preserve our possibility of inner peace in the face of that onslaught. So I say survival skill, not an option.
Swamiji, when we speak of yoga, a picture of various physical postures comes to mind. Does yoga mean simply these postures?
Yes, yoga, well, see here again, we talk about the ancient, pure treasure house of spiritual knowledge that has been the gift of India to the world. And yoga is one of the priceless jewels of that gift. Yoga means union. It doesn't mean stretching the body. It doesn't mean standing on one's head. These are one aspect of yoga. They're a useful aspect. Bringing the body under self-discipline, bringing the body under control. They're useful, but they're not essential. And anybody who would feel that as a prerequisite to yoga, I must twist my body into a pretzel, no, that is not necessary. Yoga means union, first of all, with the mental and physical forces and faculties, with the governing, intuitive, all-knowing consciousness of the soul, and then ultimately the union of that individual soul with the all-pervading Brahma spirit. So yoga really means bringing that harmony, that balance, that, I would say in one word, that connection between our individual existence with a greater source of life, a greater source of power, greater source of fulfillment, greater source of love. All of that is what really yoga is about. And we'll see. It already is happening. It's certainly in the U.S. In Western Europe, for some decades now, yoga has been, as you say, just, let's go to the gym and do yoga. Well, that's changing. Now people say, let's go to the mandir and do yoga, meaning meditate. Meditate. Yoga is primarily science of the soul, primarily science of interiorizing the consciousness. One of the ways that Paramahansa Yogananda used to express this, he would say that within each of us is this Atman, soul, the unqualified, immortal, eternal, pure, all blissful spark of divinity. But he said that because of our outward focus and the outward orientation of our instruments of knowledge, we lose sight of that. We forget it. It's like we're sleepwalking. And he said, in order to realize what you really are, to realize that true potential, he said, all we have to do, you don't have to create it. You don't have to manufacture it. You don't have to develop it. He said, all you have to do is improve your knowing. And so we take through the practice of meditation, through the practice of yoga sadhana, it's a gradual refining of those instruments of knowledge, and first of all redirecting them away from the outward material phenomena to the interior world. And then as those cerebrospinal centers, the chakras in the spine and brain, gradually receive that inflow of attention and energy, they begin to awaken and they begin to bestow on our consciousness a more complete and a more true, a more real vision of the world.
The awakening of the human journey.
Yes, the awakening of the human consciousness and finding that it all along was divine consciousness.
Swamiji, as it's a matter of privilege that an autobiography of Yogi is now came out in Sanskrit language, Yoginah Atmakatha. What are your views about Sanskrit language?
Well, Sanskrit, first of all, Sanskrit is a language from a higher age of civilization. You know, our human family goes in cyclical patterns of advancement and then gradual decline and then back upward advancement in the circle. The Sanskrit language is a direct legacy of that higher age where the faculties and the spiritual understanding of the average human being was at a much more refined, much more divinely perceptive state. And so the words and the very construction of Sanskrit, it's capable of expressing such profound truths that more modern expressions of language, English is a wonderful language, but it's not born from spiritual perception, from the actual, you visualize those rishis tuning in with those cosmic sound, the cosmic emanations from the Om vibration and its variants, and those 50 syllables of the Sanskrit alphabet that are all the diversifications of the one cosmic vibration, the word that created all that exists, the Om. And so that then manifested in the very structure of Sanskrit language, and from that all of the terminologies, all of the nuances of spiritual truth that can be expressed in Sanskrit, it's unparalleled. There's no other language for it. Now, does that mean we all have to learn Sanskrit in order to know God? Not at all. Not at all.
What is such a beautiful definition by you.
You know, one time when our Guru was giving his commentary on the Gita, and he did it all from samadhi, perception of what the innermost meaning of those Sanskrit shlokas was. And he would try to explain something, and people were listening and saying, "Oh, but sir, we don't understand what that means." He said, "Well, I'll try to explain it again," in English, of course. And then they would look puzzled, and he would say, "Well, you see, these are beyond human language. There's Sanskrit words that would get closer to it, but all language is just limited. And you have to go, when you go within and have the experience, then you know."
Thank you so much, Swamiji, for sparing your precious time and your beautiful and wisdomful words for our beautiful audience.
Yeah.
Once again, thank you. Namaskar.
Namaskar. May the blessings of the divine be on you and all of those who follow your program. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.